Arch Advocate podcast on this tumultuous November 7th. A lot of news, a lot of different points of view. You've got the Republicans, every Republican mouthpiece is out there saying, oh, no, this is the win. And you got every Democrat out there saying, yeah, I told you it was a blue wave. And it's like, guys, like, let's not all jump into the circle jerk here just yet. Sorry, everybody. Johnny Bravo is writing on my Telegram. Johnny, I will be right with you, sir. Let me close out my Telegram. Sorry about that. But listen, Biggest Losers, right? Remember that show, Biggest Loser? Like the fat person who lost the most weight. Like that was a thing. Is it still a thing? Is that show still on? Anyways, Biggest Loser. I'd like to start off, I kind of have a list here of the big losers, but as I was sitting here, I thought of something else. I thought of another thing. Laura Loomer. I'm a big fan of Laura Loomer, and I like her. I'm still with her. I still follow her, but I gotta be a little bit hard on her. She writes on her Twitter page. She says it's okay to cry. Spend the day crying if you have to get it out of your system, and then let's get back to work. I'm upset too. Anyone with a moral compass should be upset, but we can't cry every day like the liberals do. We need to get back up and work even harder than before. And I agree with that. But the thing is, what she's addressing here is there's a lot of Republican people, conservative people, that are just distraught, right? Everybody slow down. It's just, this is how our system goes. Very rarely is there a lopsided, where it's just, the Congress and the Senate and the executive office are all on the same page. That's very rare. Very rare. I think that the biggest loser, this is what I was getting at, I think the biggest loser is the Republicans who are crying about this. Like, look, this is a blessing in disguise. This is a reminder to everybody, you still have to work. You still have to ask questions. As I said on the other episode, like, look, there is some dirty crimes being committed in our election system. It's rampant with voter fraud. Dead people show up. In fact, you ask any liberal about that. Well, what about that? What about the fact that every time there's an election, a whole bunch of dead people show up and vote Democrat? And you know what they will say? They won't deny it. They'll say, oh, but there was a study that said this happens very little. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're saying there's a study and they figured out how this was happening and how much of it is that there is? If that were the case, if there was a good study done, then that study would tell you how to fix it. If you studied it and you figured out what the problem is to such a degree that you could figure out what the numbers were, then you would be able to fix it. So the fact is like this losing in Congress, this should prompt you to take action. Write to your Congress people, write to your senator, to your governor, and to the president of the United States and say, look, we have to investigate this. As the American people, we have to get this done. So number one, the biggest loser is people who are crying. The Constitution is still intact. You know what your rights are, whether the government changes them or not. If Donald J. Trump came out tomorrow and said, okay, we're getting rid of the Second Amendment, well, then you would know that that is your time to pick up arms and start marching on Washington, right? I'm not threatening the life of the president. I'm just saying, like, you have your rights. They are God-given. You know what they are, and you know that our Constitution says that they are God-given. So the government is not in a position to take them away. You understand what I'm saying? We're fine, people. We're fine. Let's work the problem. Let's figure out the problem and stop crying. But enough of that. Number one on the top of the biggest losers is a man named David Hallquist. He was running for the governor, pretty sure it was governor, the state of Vermont. You say, Pete, I've never heard that name before. Well, that's the reason for that is because David goes by the name Christine, and he wears a dress. And if you saw a picture of this hideous monstrosity, you'd be like, that's a man. Name that movie. Christine Hallquist is a fella with a big jaw and a beard line who wears a dress and says, "You should vote for me because I'm a man who wears a dress. I got a sausage in my pants. You should vote for me because I'm weird." Christine Hallquist, David Hallquist did not win. Biggest loser. And David, you're a big loser because you're a man who wears a dress. And you very nearly convince an entire state to vote for you based on the fact that you're a man who wears a dress. And that is a sign of the times. David Hallquist did not lose by much, right? There were people that voted for David Hallquist on what? On the fact that he's a weirdo. Like, oh, we want to represent the weirdos, so let's let them govern us. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the American people are. So David Hallquist, biggest loser. Second, I mentioned this before, Beto O'Rourke didn't just lose the Senate seat. He lost $70 million. $70 million he lost. Can you imagine that? Right? Can you imagine having somebody give you $70 million to accomplish a purpose, then you didn't accomplish that purpose? You know what I mean? Like, you chewed through $70 million of somebody else's money and then you failed to complete your objective. That's a huge loss. All right. Next up, the state of Minnesota. Oh boy. What can I say? You've got three people who are open and brazen anti-Semites. It's Keith Ellison, the other two big Sharia law advocates, candidates who are friends with Farrakhan, right? Like, it's bizarre. Keith Ellison, right? It's like with Brett Kavanaugh. You remember they just trotted out some lady from his high school days to say, "Oh, he sexually assaulted me." No police report. No nothing. Keith Ellison, look, I don't know if the guy is guilty, but what I do know is that the two ladies who have charged him have police reports. The one lady kind of shot herself in the foot because she said that she had video, and it doesn't look like she has the video. But she does have a police report. Like, that's evident. You know what I mean? Like, if you come to me with anything, it's like, "Oh, I had this horrible thing happen to me." It's like, okay, well, did you call the police? Like, we have a structure for how we handle this. It's not always efficient. Like, in California, for example, there's 40 million people. And so if you have your car stolen and you call the police and say, "Hey, my car is stolen," they don't send a police officer out to your house. They don't. If your car is stolen, if nobody's hurt, you're not going to see a policeman. They'll take your information over the phone, they'll enter you into the system, and that's that. But there's still a police report. If you say something happened, it's like, okay, first thing, did you use the system that we have in place? The police department. If you think there's money laundering going, if you think your neighbor's next door laundering money, well, then you call the Secret Service. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that you can do. None of that was on Brett Kavanaugh. There was not a single shred of somebody contacting law enforcement years ago. Keith Ellison has too, right? And he hates Jews. And he's an advocate for Sharia law. You know what Sharia law is, right? It's the first thing you need to find out, like, if somebody's advocating Sharia law, it's like, what is different about Sharia law than the laws that we already have on the books? Are you allowed to murder people under Sharia law? No. Okay, well then why do you want Sharia law if it's not for the murder thing? You know what I mean? Is it okay to rape people under Sharia law? No. Okay, well then what's wrong? Like, what's the difference? Rape, murder, theft, lying, all these things. Like, what is the difference? And if you keep questioning that and like actually learn what Sharia law is, you find out, well, what it is you can, kill the infidel, you can beat your wife, right? Like all these horrible things. And if Sharia law is implemented, If you want to see what it looks like, just go to Great Britain. You don't actually have to go there. You can just look it up. You can just read the news. There's people in Great Britain and in Sweden and in Germany right now that when they commit these crimes, they just go to court and they say, well, we haven't broken any of your crimes. Yes, I killed my daughter because she got raped and I needed to protect the honor of my family, so I murdered my daughter. That just happened, by the way, recently. And it's not the only one of its kind. But then what they do is they go to the courts because they infested those countries and they got them to change the law to where Sharia law is over here and your filthy, Jewish and Christian laws are over there. And we're under Sharia law. And because of that legal status, because we are a law-abiding people, right? Because the Christian people are a law-abiding people, if we tell you that you can have Sharia law, then you will be in a position to, if you murder your daughter or rape the infidel or whatever it is that you do, all you have to do is say, well, this is fine under my set of laws and there's nothing you can do about it. That's Sharia law. That's who Keith Ellison is, and that's who those other two ladies are. They hate the Jews, they love Louis Farrakhan, and they are pushing for Sharia law. Big loser, Minnesota and Michigan. Another biggest loser who could also actually be on the show, biggest loser, Missouri's own Clair McCaskill. All right, the incumbent senator. She lost to Josh Hawley. Clair McCaskill was the star of the Project Veritas video that was recently released with all of her employees talking about how proud they were to be liars. Now this lady, wow, God bless her for the stones that she has. So in her concession speech, she was laughing and smiling, saying, I used to have to watch the words that I had to say. Now I guess I don't have to watch my words anymore. Right? Like she's up there saying, yeah, you know what? I got caught lying. But from now on, all you liberal minions, you better know that I'm not going to try to get the Republicans. Now I'm going to fight the conservatives. And I'm not going to try to trick them anymore. Because I got caught lying to him. Ha 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 ha. What a loser. This is like that clip of her laughing. Like this is what needs to, like if Trump wants to start running for 2020, which by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but it was like one of the first things that Donald Trump did when he got in office was he filled out the paperwork to run for president in 2020. And I believe at the time that had never been done before because you're not allowed to begin campaigning until you fill that paperwork out and announce your intention. And most presidents don't do that because it's like, well, I'm the incumbent. Obviously, I'm going to run. But he actually did his paperwork immediately so that at any time, if he wants to spend money on the 2020 campaign, he is free to do that. And the clip of Clair McCaskill getting caught lying, and then put that next to Clair McCaskill's concession speech where she's gloating. She's letting everybody know, like, oh, I got caught lying. I got caught being a fraud. I got caught being a deceiver. Like that's all you need. Like that's what you need to show the American people. It's like, do you people want? Is this the America that you want, where your politicians, right? Like for example, I am a Christian conservative, white male, registered Republican, right? Like that's who I am. I'll just put it to you this. So like Donald Trump, I'm a big fan. Ted Cruz, Trey Gowdy, Lindsey Graham of late, like I'm a big fan of all these people now. If any one of those people got caught deceiving Democratic voters to gain power, I would turn my back on them in a moment because deception, that's demonic. That's a demonic power that those people are using. And if any of the people I like did that, I would turn my back on them just like that. Because I don't vote for demons, even if I think they're working for me. These people, it's like, it's weird. It's like the Democrats, it's like they're happy that their own people are being deceptive. Don't you understand that is a surefire recipe for failure? It's demonic, it's weak. You know what I mean? Like, demonic is weakness. And weakness cannot prevail against strength. Darkness cannot prevail against the light. If you don't believe me, tonight, around midnight, when all the neighborhood is quiet and everybody's lights are off, go into the darkest room in your house and turn the light on and see how quickly the light defeats the darkness. It's the same thing. This Clair McCaskill was operating in the darkness. And these Democrats, it's like, you think that this is working in your favor because you think that she has the same values as you do. And if that's what you think, then what you're saying is you're aligning yourself with somebody who is deceptive. You see what I'm saying? Now, you can say whatever you want about Donald Trump. Like, there are things in Donald Trump's past that I do not like at all. Right? But if that guy came out and was using tactics to mislead the American people to gain power, to remain in power, I would turn my back on him in a second. It's Clair McCaskill, biggest loser, big loser. Boy, what else can we say? The state of California, geez, I really can't get over this. For those of you that don't know, Jerry Brown, former, as of today, as of last night, Jerry Brown was the governor of California, and he's a horrible human being, just a top level deceiver and liar. And what's weird about Jerry Brown is that he was actually the governor of California before, a long time ago, and he was a crappy governor back then. So the fact that Jerry Brown got re-elected, that he came back, ran for the governor's office, and the state of California voted for him, it's like, wow, have you people forgotten? Did you forget what Jerry Brown did? He's a bad person. He's a bad guy. He's not a good person. Like, he's a piece of garbage person, but we voted him in. You know, that's another reason. Like, you have to think, like, we need to look into voter fraud and voter manipulation, because when you see, like, Jerry Brown was already one time in the past the governor of the state of California, and everybody hated him. And then he figures out a way to get back in there. It's like, yeah, maybe he got in there legitimately, but boy, the fact that we have so many people here illegally, like, it kind of lends to, like, well, maybe there's some effery going on. But the thing is that now it's like, okay, Jerry Brown is out, and Gavin Newsom, dude, I guarantee you Adam Carolla will be talking about this, because he predicted it actually weeks ago. He said, look, forget about it. Gavin Newsom will be the governor of California because of how crazy this state has gotten. This state has gone so crazy that they will literally vote for Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is the whole reason, like, why the gay marriage thing happened in California. That's his whole claim to fame. Oh, that, and the fact that there is an app that you can download on your phone that will tell you where the human feces is. So hopefully you can avoid it. That's his city. That's what he did to San Francisco, one of the most beautiful cities on the planet. That's what he did to it. He took one of the most beautiful cities on the planet and turned it into a place that is riddled with human feces. Like, that's a literal thing, and it's also very symbolic. God has a funny way of making sure that always happens, right? That the physical also lines up with the metaphor. You know what I mean? Biggest loser, state of California. My state, my beloved California. And you people, there's a lot of people out there that they say things like, "Oh, California should just, become its own country," and whatever. It's like, okay, if you're saying that as a joke, all right, fine. Ha ha ha, very funny. There's a lot of people who say that and they mean it. Let me just explain something to you. It does not work that way. In a republic, and I don't care, like, if you're a Democrat and you think that you're living in a democracy, or if you're a Ocasio-Cortez, and, just because the United States has a lot of social programs and, socialize this and social security that, you may think that we are a democratic socialist country. We are not. We are none of those things. We are a constitutional republic. We are a republic that is not up for debate. I'm not making a supposition here. That's a fact. We are a republic. And in a republic, if one piece of that republic leaves, then the entire thing unwinds, right? When a state fills out their paperwork and requests statehood, one of the things that they have to provide is a constitution for that state. And every state has a constitution. Of the 50 states that there are, 48 of them are all together, right? In the lower 48, they call them. And out of those 48 states, there's only one of those states that hasn't written into their state constitution that upon being granted statehood, that it was known to everybody that they had the right to secede from the Union should, horrible things happen or whatever. That state is the state of Texas. And by the way, that thing that I just described is kind of, it's not exactly settled science, right? There's a lot of people who interpret that a lot of different ways. But the fact is, what I'm getting at is California cannot leave the republic. California has federal parks on them. That is parks that is owned by every single U.S. citizen. So if California left, they would literally be taking your land, your actual real estate. And then that's, people go to war over real estate. If you don't believe me, read the Old Testament. The whole thing is like real estate and murder. So, biggest loser, California. And no, they're not going to be seceding from the Union. They're not going to break off from the United States and become the 7th largest, economy in the world, independent of the United States. It's not going to happen. The suffering that the Californians are causing themselves will spread to the rest of the nation. So really the biggest loser is you and me. Because Gavin Newsom is now in control. He's in the pilot seat of the biggest vehicle that we have for food and technology. Right? That's a bad proposition on a number of reasons. So that's the end of my segments for today. I hope that you enjoyed these 3 shows that I've done. If you want to support the show, you can go on to archadvocate.com. If you want to join me on the show, you can go to archadvocate.com. Write me an email. If you want to become a monthly patron, go on to my Patreon account there. Some people like to just use PayPal and do like a one-time thing. That's on the PayPal. That's right there on the website as well. I hope you guys have a good day. Remember, quit your sniveling. Don't cry about it. It's all right. It's just America, man. It's one big family, and we all right now. It seems like like in every family has the drunk uncle, the weird uncle. Well, it looks like that's all we have now. We've got these people like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters. It's like, man, it's like the whole family is the drunk uncle. But the thing is like we're still family. We still have a lot of work to do. We still have responsibilities to ourselves and to one another. So let's move forward, not cry about it, and let's just be Americans and just get through this. That's it. And I think tomorrow, provided my baby isn't coming. By the way, no baby today either. So hopefully tomorrow. But if my baby doesn't come tomorrow, I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of an expose on the Young Turks did a segment where there was this lady who scammed a bunch of Trump supporters out of $150,000, and the Young Turks couldn't have been more happy about it. And I'm just looking at this going, the lady stole a bunch, she's a thief. She stole a bunch of money from people that you don't like, but you think that's okay. Like, this is the state of the union. This is the state of a lot of people that if somebody is a piece of shit with no character and they steal from innocent people by way of lying to them and deceiving them, like, there's a whole group of people that will cheer that on. And it's weird because it's like, you people, like, you don't, okay, you're a train and there's another train on the exact same set of tracks, and your train is lies and deceptions and being a demon, and the other train is consequences and repercussions. Name that movie. And it's coming. You're going to hit it. There's no escaping it. And rejoicing in demonic behavior, it's like, ooh, boy, you're going to get it. Ooh. That's the show for today. Maybe I will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully I will. And if I don't, it's because little baby Round is coming into the earth. That's it.